Hey everyone, I'm Riley and welcome back to my UX lab. Today we're diving into step 7 of our Airbnb rebuild for my hotel room in Munich. In the last step, we built the balloon, and today we're finishing Airbnb's hot air balloon by adding the basket, so let's get started. Jumping right into the basket, we'll hit L on our keyboard for a line. We'll just drag into the screen and then we'll change the dimension to 2x0. The center position is what we want, but we'll change the weight to a 0.5. From there, we'll also change the starting and end points to square. If we do the start point, it should adjust the end point for us. Zoomed in so we can see a little bit better, we'll change the stroke color of this. That's the same as the fill for lines, so don't get that confused, but it will be the stroke color. And we'll change the hex to EAD 1BF, and then we'll rotate it with this right here and drag it up. If you see this, it won't align flush with the corner of the hot air balloon. So what we'll do is we'll double click into the vector editing mode and then select this, and it should let us move it a lot more freely to align it flush with the corner of this balloon we made earlier. From here, what we'll do is we'll double click out of the vector editing mode. We'll hit Shift Option or Shift Alt if you're on Windows, and we'll just drag it over to the other side. Again, we'll double click into the vector editing mode and we'll just drag it over to make it a flush corner here. Next, we'll do the base of the basket. So hitting R on the keyboard for a rectangle tool, we'll just drag into the screen and we'll change the dimensions to an 11x7. And we'll change the fill color to EAD 1BF. Now we need to add a stroke to this rectangle. We'll keep the position inside and the weight at 1, but we'll change the fill color to C08D69. From here, we'll double click the shape to open the vector editing mode. We'll select each of the bottom 2 points in the corner and drag it in 1 pixel. And then hovering over the middle of the top line, we'll drag this point in 1 pixel down. And then we'll use the curve tool and just select that point to smooth it out. Exiting out of the vector editing mode, we'll add an effect here. We'll change it from drop shadow to noise, and we'll change it from mono to duo. Here we'll leave everything the same except for the top color here. We're going to change it to A0806A, and we'll change that to 100%. Now we need to add another noise effect, so we'll just come here and hit plus again, change that to noise. This one's going to stay mono and everything will be the same except for the color. We will change to C08D69 at 100% here and hit enter. From here we can add this into place, and we want to center line it as best as we can for those rope lines we made without overlapping it. So these corners will just meet that same axis line where those ropes end. Now we need a new rectangle, so hitting R on our keyboard for the shortcut and dragging on the screen, we'll change the dimensions to a 13x2, and we'll change the fill color to A0806A at 100%. Now we need to round the corners for this. The top 2 corners are both going to be 20 and the bottom 2 corners are both going to be 10. And then what we'll do is open the vector editing tool, hover over this top middle point and drag it all the way down to the bottom. We'll use the curve tool to smooth this out and then hit enter, and we'll move this into place on top of the basket. We now need another line, so hitting L on the keyboard for the shortcut, we'll just drag that over. We want it to be a 9x0, and then we'll change this stroke fill color to A0806A. We'll keep it as center, but we'll change the weight to a 0.5, and then we'll do the starting points square and the endpoint square, and we'll just drag this up into place 1 pixel down from the top of the basket. We'll now duplicate this line 3 times, so using Shift Option, we'll just drag it down 1 pixel from each new line, so we need 4 total, and then this last one will actually change the starting and end points to none. With those horizontal lines done, we now need to do the vertical lines, so we'll hit L on the keyboard and start dragging down. It needs to be a 5x0, and we'll change that stroke fill color to C08D69 at 100%. We'll keep the position at 0, but we'll change the weight to a 0.5. We'll do the end point at round. It does usually change the starting point as well, so we'll change that back to none. And then we want to move this over onto the basket. We want it 1 pixel in from this corner edge, and then we want to align it with the top here. And like we did before, we'll duplicate this 9 times for the vertical lines, each one being 1 pixel apart, so that we have a total of 10. The last element to finish this basket is going to be a rectangle, so hitting R on the keyboard and dragging on the screen. We'll change the dimensions to an 11 by 2. We want all the corners to be rounded at 20, and then we'll change the fill color to C08D69. We need to add a bottom stroke for this rectangle, so to do so we'll hit the plus button, and then we'll use this square here. We'll select bottom, and that adds it just to the bottom here. We want it to be a center stroke, and we'll keep the weight at 1, but we'll change that fill color to 90715C. We can now move this into place. We'll center align it on the basket, and we'll overlap those vertical lines just slightly, about 1 pixel. Zoomed out so we can see we've completed the hot air balloon. We'll select everything we've created, including the balloon from the last steps video, and we'll group it together with Command or Control G, and now it moves as one total icon. With the hot air balloon icon now complete, we can get rid of the square placeholder we had, and we'll put it into our frame. We'll bottom align it with the other square icons we had, and then we'll center align it with experiences. If you've been following this rebuild series, you'll remember with the chat bubble icon we mentioned they might need to be adjusted once the other icons get placed. So going back to that, we'll adjust the X positioning to the left just slightly, and then the Y position will move up about 1 or 2 pixels just to match Airbnb's UI a little bit more. It's time to compare our rebuild here on the right to what Airbnb uses in their actual app here on the left. There are slight differences, but I think we really nailed the color, size, and details that Airbnb likes to focus on, really elevating our rebuild to what Airbnb has here for their actual app. And that's a wrap on step 7, finishing Airbnb's hot air balloon icon. From balloon to basket, I think our rebuild in Figma turned out super clean for this icon. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments, and if you built along with me, I'd love to hear how your rebuild went. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss step 8, where we build Airbnb's bell icon, adding that to the header as well. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!